CSS layouts and positioning. CSS, Cascading Style Sheets, is a powerful tool for creating visually appealing and responsive layouts for websites. In this context, layout refers to the way that content is organized and positioned on a web page. There are several CSS positioning schemes that are commonly used to create layouts, including static positioning. This is the default positioning scheme for all HTML elements. Elements with static positioning are positioned based on their order in the HTML document flow. They are not affected by the top, bottom, left, or right properties. Relative positioning. This positioning scheme allows an element to be positioned relative to its normal position in the HTML document flow. Elements with relative positioning can be moved up, down, left, or right by specifying values for the top, bottom, left, or right properties. Absolute positioning. This positioning scheme allows an element to be positioned relative to its closest positioned ancestor, i.e., an element that has a position other than static. Elements with absolute positioning can be moved up, down, left, or right by specifying values for the top, bottom, left, or right properties. Fixed positioning. This positioning scheme allows an element to be positioned relative to the viewport, i.e., the visible area of the browser window. Elements with fixed positioning are always visible, even when the user scrolls the page. They can be moved up, down, left, or right by specifying values for the top, bottom, left, or right properties. In addition to these positioning schemes, there are several CSS layout techniques that are commonly used to create complex layouts. These include floats. This technique allows elements to be positioned to the left or right of their normal position in the HTML document flow. This can be used to create multi-column layouts. Flexbox. This layout technique allows elements to be organized in a flexible row or column layout. It is useful for creating responsive layouts that adapt to different screen sizes. Grid. This layout technique allows elements to be organized in a grid-like layout with rows and columns. It is useful for creating complex, multi-column layouts. CSS variables and custom properties. Overall, CSS offers a variety of powerful tools for creating layouts and positioning elements on a web page. By combining these techniques and experimenting with different styles, designers can create visually appealing and responsive websites that work well on a variety of devices. CSS variables, also known as custom properties, allow web developers to define and reuse values throughout their style sheets. They are defined using the prefix followed by a name and a value. Here's an example of how to define a custom property. Root. Main color, #1E90FF. In this example, we define a custom property named main color with a value of #1E90FF. The root selector is used to define the variable globally and make it available to all elements in the document. Once defined, the custom property can be used in any selector using the var function. Here's an example of how to use the main color custom property. Button. Background color, var main color. This example, we use the var function to set the background color property of the button selector to the value of main color. One of the benefits of using custom properties is that they can be updated dynamically using JavaScript. This means that you can change the value of a custom property at runtime, and all elements that use that property will be updated automatically. Custom properties also support fallback values using the var function. Here's an example. Button. Background color, var main color, #FF6347. In this example, if the main color custom property is not defined, the background color property will be set to #FF6347 instead. Overall, CSS variables or custom properties are a powerful tool that can help you write more efficient and flexible CSS code. CSS media queries and breakpoints. CSS media queries are used to apply different styles to web page elements based on the characteristics of the device on which the page is being viewed. Media queries allow you to specify rules that only apply when certain conditions are met, such as screen size, orientation, resolution, or device type. Media queries are often used in responsive web design to create different layouts or adjust the styling of a page to optimize the user experience on different devices. For example, you might use media queries to change the font size or color of text, hide or show certain elements, or adjust the layout of a page. Breakpoints are specific points in the layout where the media query is triggered and different styles are applied. Breakpoints are typically determined based on common device sizes or viewport widths, and are often defined using pixel values. Common breakpoints include 320px, commonly used for mobile phones in portrait orientation. 480px, commonly used for mobile phones in landscape orientation. 768px, commonly used for tablets in portrait orientation. 1024px, commonly used for tablets in landscape orientation or small laptops. 1200px, commonly used for larger desktop screens. These are just examples, and the specific breakpoints you use will depend on the needs of your design and the devices you are targeting. You can define breakpoints using CSS media queries by using the @media rule, followed by the specific conditions that trigger the styles you want to apply. For example, @media, max width, 768px. /styles to apply when screen width is less than or equal to 768px/. @media min width, 768px, and max width, 1024px. /styles to apply when screen width is between 768px and 1024px/. @media min width, 1200px. /styles to apply when screen width is greater than or equal to 1200px/. By using media queries and breakpoints, you can create a responsive design that adapts to different devices and provides the best user experience on each one. CSS layouts and positioning. CSS naming conventions. CSS naming conventions are sets of guidelines used to give names to CSS selectors, classes, and IDs. By following these conventions, developers can create more organized, readable, and maintainable code. Here are some of the most commonly used CSS naming conventions. BEM, Block Element Modifier. This convention separates the CSS classes into three parts: block, element, and modifier. For example, a button element inside a form block with a modifier for its color would be named as form_button red. SMIS, Scalable and Modular Architecture for CSS. This convention categorizes CSS rules into 5 categories: base, layout, module, state, and theme. Each category has its naming conventions, such as using L for layout, M for modules, and IS for states. OS, Object-Oriented CSS. This convention treats CSS as objects that can be reused across the application. It encourages creating classes based on their characteristics, such as rounded corners or centered text. Atomic CSS. This convention uses small, single-purpose classes to create an entire UI. It often includes classes with abbreviated names, such as M for margin and P for padding. Namespaces. This convention adds a prefix or namespace to each class or ID to differentiate between them. For example, using header as a prefix for all header-related classes. Ultimately, the choice of naming convention is up to the developer and the project's requirements. The important thing is to be consistent and to use descriptive names that convey the purpose of the CSS class or ID.